Percent yield. This is kind of a continuation from the limiting reagents video. Um, but percent yield in itself is a pretty simple, straightforward idea. It is a ratio of how much product you received compared to how much you could have gotten if all of your limiting reagent had reacted. So let's look back at the last example we did in our limiting and excess reagents video. In this example, we had looked at a combustion reaction between C2H4 and oxygen gas and identified that our 201.6 grams of oxygen gas was our limiting reagent. We found that it produced an estimated, or a calculated, calculated 75.667 grams of water. What this means is that we can make up to this much water from this reaction. However, that is only going to happen if we have a 100% yield. So again, that percent yield. Our percent yield is that ratio of product received compared to how much we could have gotten. To calculate this, we put our actual yield over our theoretical yield and multiply it by 100. You'll often see a formula that looks like this. Actual over theoretical multiplied by 100. We have to multiply by 100 in order to make this a percent. Now, what on earth is actual yield and what is theoretical yield? Our actual yield is the total amount that was collected. So if we ran the experiment and had a balloon to catch all of our water, then the actual yield is how much water we collected in that balloon. This amount must be given to you. Our theoretical yield, however, is how much we calculated that we could have gotten. Now, sometimes this will be given, but not always. Thinking back to that example problem, the 75.667 grams of water is the theoretical yield from our example 2. This is how much we calculated that we could get from our limiting reagent. So let's do an example with this. Using that 75.66 grams of water we could have gotten from example number 2, with an actual yield of 63.992 grams of water, we can determine our percent yield. And I just added the information from that example 2 there. We don't actually need this because we've already calculated our theoretical. Remember that our equation is actual over theoretical. This is our actual yield. It is named as actual yield here, but we also know it's our actual yield because this is the amount we're given, not the amount we calculated. Actual goes on top, 63.992 grams of water over our theoretical yield, or the yield that we calculated, 75.667 grams of water. Note, we have some like terms here. They do cancel. Once we've canceled them, we're just going to do this division. This division should give us a 0.846. And note that we don't have any units here. The reason for that is because they've canceled out. So we just have 0.846. We then multiply this by 100, or you can move your decimal over, which will give us 84.6%. This 84.6% is our percent yield. We managed to make 84.6% of our theoretical amount. In all honesty, having a theoretical or having a percent yield that's this high is uncommon. Usually percent yields are much, much, much lower. So if you're getting a 84.6% yield in a reaction that you are doing, awesome job. Keep that up.